Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem, Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. Today, it is the end of December 2023. That's almost 4 years of Torah every weekday, finding each other from across the world to learn some Torah, to help each other's spirits, to show up and learn and grow and build community, offering comfort and response to the world as it is, knowing that it could be even better. Let's see who's here so we can say good morning to each other, which has been the best part of these broadcasts. Helen and Anna, good morning. Shari, good morning. You were ill in the hospital the last 2 mornings. We missed you too. Keep healing. We hope you feel better very, very soon. Refuah Shlema. Barry and Lydia, good morning. Linda, hi, kind soul. It's been a while since I've said it directly to you. It's good to see you. Ashley and Julianne, Boker Tov. Deborah, today is the 22nd yahrzeit for your dear father, Jerry. May his memory be for a blessing. Kim, so beautiful to see you. Hi, Keith. Hi, Valerie, sending love to Olympia, Washington. Natalie, good to see you too. Hope you're well. Let's take a second, see who else is here, and then we'll get started. Amy and Roberta. Roberta sending love to Florida. Arlene, my friend, what a gift to learn with you so many times each week. Nathalia, Kim, hi. Okay. Hi, Nancy. Let's take a breath, everyone. Let's sing a blessing, learn some Torah, make today a good day. Hi, Blair. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks, Penny. It's broadcast 953. That is the best way of starting our day, knowing that we've been doing this for 953 consecutive weekday mornings. Cassandra and Marian, good morning. Okay. Ya lai 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 lai, today I lai lai lai, today I lai 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 lai, ay ay la lai lai, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah, la'asok b'divrei Torah, hafoch ba v'hafoch ba, la'asok b'divrei Torah. Today I lie, 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 lie. Today I lie, lie, lie. Today I lie, 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 lie. I lie, lie. So good morning, everyone. Hope you and yours are safe and well. There are many things on our minds today, as there are every day. And for the last 75 days, we have been traveling in a more deep way together, knowing that our hearts, of course, reach to each other as they have for 953 mornings. And especially right now, there is a way in which our hearts are more deeply connected to the global Jewish people, because all of a sudden, and I really don't mean the all of a sudden part, but all of a sudden, it's clear why we are in this community. It's clear why we built this community. Similar to how UJAs work on a daily basis through our annual fund, for those who pay attention to such things, creates grassroots and grass tops networks and relationships. And only because we have built those relationships every single day are we prepared to do extraordinary things when called upon. And so what we have done as a learning community for 953 mornings is show up in a consistent way so that when we have losses, Deborah, you're sharing with us right now that your friend Rhoda passed away at age 96 last night, your mother's longtime friend. May her memory be for a blessing. It's only because we have done the work every day to create this community that we can show up so effectively every day. And for those who were part of yesterday's broadcast, I'm sharing on a very personal level that only because I've been present and available these 953 mornings in this way, was it possible for me to feel so very comforted by a community that we have built together every single day, day in and day out, when the need presents itself and when it is, quote, an ordinary moment. No, there isn't truly such a thing as an ordinary moment. So this is my extended way of saying thank you, friends, for being present, for sharing the depth of our souls on an everyday basis, not only these extraordinary and extraordinarily difficult ones. Now, what I'd like to share on this week's Parsha is actually a conversation that I was reading about just the other day. The question was raised: if you look closely at the Joseph narrative, one glaring absence is a voice of God. Even though we believe, especially within the Torah, that God is so present in the unfolding of history, and as an actor within biblical history, certainly, it's so powerful to me to look at these 4 Torah portions, the last 4 of the book of Genesis, and to look at the presence of God and then the apparent absence of God. It's not to say that God is absent, but it is to say that God isn't explicitly referenced. And that is really important to say, because not only during days like this, but during these days, just rose, as you said, like the book of Esther, it is so powerful to see when God is explicitly present and when God is not. And so this is a moment. I'm looking at our world, parked in Manhattan because I didn't want to miss our schedule, and I'll park later. What do we do with a world where we don't hear God's explicit voice for those who believe in God? And it doesn't have to be a Jewish question. How do we deal with a world where it's not prophetic communication? This is the essay that I was reading before. What kind of non-prophetic divine communication can there be? Well, these Torah portions, especially this week's VaYigash, tells us that God can speak even when God isn't speaking. And I know that sounds both like a contradiction and also like a reach. But what I want to suggest, using a little bit of Jewish history and personal experience, is to think for us what it means to try to tap into the divine in these moments, in these ways, grounded in our reality and not presuming prophecy. What does it mean to listen for God's voice? So often when I pray, there are times when I pray and I'm doing it because I'm doing it, and there are times when I really pray. Often those deeper experiences of prayer are ones that are not involving a prayer book or a shul. They're ones that just pour straight from my heart, often in an urgent way, straight to heaven, without words that someone else has written, without words I've even stopped to think about. It's just the intensity of the emotional connection with the divine. So us reaching out to the divine, I think we have some experience with that. But what does it mean to listen for God's voice? And I ask you that question before I offer a thought, which is, what does it mean to listen for God in this world, especially in the harshness of this world? These Torah portions with which the book of Genesis ends suggest that it is possible to experience God even when there isn't a voice. I look at my life and the way that it has unfolded and the ample blessings that have come into my life. And it's not that I think God zapped them into being, but I do appreciate so much the divinity of some of these gifts. I remember saying to my father many years ago, when I was having a hard day and then suddenly better things started happening. I remember saying to my father, the God I don't believe in is taking very good care of me. And we both laughed and we both knew what I meant. Well, in this moment, this very harsh moment, how do we hear God's voice? And I ask us this because I actually think this is an important part of this moment in our experience. We are in a moment of deep vulnerability, each of us and all of us and the whole world. And a hint of God's presence, a hint of grace would do us such good. I'll give you a very, very intense example of where I found grace Often the experience of social media can be very difficult. This is a nice exception to the rule. But often social media really amplifies things that makes a person anxious. Chesed is a really, really beautiful word, Rose, but grace in Hebrew is chen. Chen. So here's an example of chen. We know, just before last Shabbat, that among the hardest moments for us of the last 75 days was when the IDF was fighting Hamas in Gaza, and 3 hostages who managed to break free. There's a longer story that just came out. You can look for it on the Times of Israel. An example of grace you wouldn't expect in this moment. But when the 3 hostages who managed to become free were then accidentally killed by soldiers from the IDF, that was just tragedy upon tragedy. And oh, the families of the hostages, oh, those hostages, and oh, those soldiers, those poor soldiers. But if you saw yesterday, a mother of one of the soldiers gave an interview and recorded a message for the children, they were children, for the soldiers in the IDF. The mother of one of the killed hostages spoke directly through this message to the soldiers who killed her son and said, I don't blame you. I love you. You have to take good care of yourself so that you can take good care of all of us. It's a moment of dire pain. And look at the way that mother of that hostage was able somehow, I don't understand it truly, but was able somehow to offer love in a terrible situation, a terrible moment of loss. If that isn't grace, what is? And when we say to ourselves, what is it to listen for God in a moment where we don't have God's voice and it's hard to imagine God's intervention? I hear God in that woman's voice, in that mother's voice, in that grieving mother's voice. I see God as I have for these last 953 mornings. In this conversation, I see God in the zeros and ones that make up computer code, because somehow we found each other almost 4 years ago to learn together and to hold each other up. I calculated it. If you do the math, 953 broadcasts times, on average 800 views of our community. That is a whole lot of love. And if you add that all together, and you say, friends, what could possibly have made this possible? And the answer is, of course, UJA's platform and the wonderful community that we are, and the gift of Torah, and something hidden. How did we find each other? We never advertised this. We didn't explicitly reach out to each other as individuals. Look at who we have been able to be together. Non-prophetic communication with God. We have each turned to each other. I know that it's been my face on the screen, but you also know, because I've made this clear. So often, the wisdom that we're sharing is a collective creation. And when you look at the power, friends, the power of this week's Parsha VaYigash, when Judah and the brothers who have grown and done inner work and gone through terrible loss, and Joseph, who started at the top and got knocked down and then rose back up, you see the stories that we have been sharing, including this one. And Joseph suddenly is overwhelmed. He's been the direct channel for all these dreams and all this meaning and the salvation of Egypt and therefore the world, and he is the one who's experiencing power. But ultimately, friends, Joseph is both a channel for God, but so is Judah. So is the possibility of having enough, which is what VaYigash is all about. Having enough love in the context of having enough food, in the context of having time, having grown, May we be blessed, friends, to feel God's grace in the next breath we take. What could I have done to be worthy of that breath? What could any of us have done to be worthy of the possibilities of this world? Yes, we are in a very difficult moment of our history. But look at the capacity we have to help. Right now, my son has been in Petach Tikva and has been helping pick fruits and vegetables in Israel because of the world of Camp Ramah, the support of course, his family. In just a few weeks, my daughter will be headed to Israel to work and to learn at Hebrew University in Jerusalem. And they're just two examples of the countless good souls who are going to Israel now to be of support and help. You want to find God in this world? Look at those who are spending their time as helpers, being the helpers. As Jerry's saying, Modeh ani, Moda ani, how grateful I am we should be. How grateful we should be for the gift of loving each other. I want to bless us in this moment. Of course, we can see God, Shoshana, my friend, as you're saying, to look at our young people. But some of us aren't as young anymore, and we are also vessels. We are vessels of God's love in this world. That's what we are called to be. We've always called to be that. We've always been called. So let's, friends, show up. We can wonder about where God is, but let's make sure that wherever we hope God shows up, we're there, ready to do the work that we think God should be doing, because maybe that's what it is for God to be active in the world. A song I've heard once or twice says, and if we build this world from love, then God will build this world from love. And as I'm speaking, you want to know a sense of grace? My son in Jerusalem literally just called. So we're going to end this conversation so I can call him back. Friends, Am Yisrael Chai. Bless you. Bless you. Bless you. Let's sing Hatikva and have a good day, showing up, and in that way channeling the best blessings of the universe. Kolon balevav penima nefesh Yehudi homia ulefate mizrach kadima ayin letzion Sophia. Od lo avda tikvateinu, hatikva bat shnot alpayim, liot am chovshi be'artzeinu, Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim. Liot am chovshi be'artzeinu, Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim. Am Yisrael Chai. Bless you, friends. See you tomorrow.